Wow, Davis is giving him a run for the money, but Andy is not letting him go. Andy got that!
Ouch. If you haven't been living under a rock for the past few years, you've probably heard of World Chase Tag. World Chase Tag takes elements of parkour, adds them to the childhood game of tag, and pretty much you have yourself a viral hit. So viral, in fact, this thing has had close to 280 million views. That's insane. One team has managed to win every single World Chase Tag, and that team is Marrero Gang. So I sat down with captain and manager of the team, Greg Bull, to discuss why does Marrero Gang win every World Chase Tag.
Alright, hello. So today I'm going to be talking to you about, well, first off, my name's Greg, and this is Kieran.
Hello.
So I currently manage and captain the World Chase Tag Marrero Gang team. So how did Marrero Gang get into World Chase Tags? This is the start of it already. So Connor O'Carroll, another member of Marrero Gang, who is the co-captain and co-manager of the World Chase Tag team. He was approached by Christian and Damien DeVoe.
Yeah. So they were just two brothers, and they were kind of like playing tag with their son, and then
in
just
their backyard.
I think the brothers kind of saw how they could progress tag.
Sure, potential in it, yeah.
Yeah, and add parkour to it. So yeah.
So they approached Connor, and Connor, knowing us, put our name forward for this test shoot that was about to go on. So we show up at this random hall in the middle of London, like random industrial warehouse.
It's very weird. Like, bear in mind, we'd never really done anything like this before. Just we got a few messages, and we were like, okay, we're going to this thing, and then we walk into this hall. We're a bit skeptical because we don't know what they are, who they are, what it's all about.
And bear in mind at this point, like parkour competitions, or the idea of parkour competitions, were very controversial in the sense that some people were very much against them. Nat Joe.
What we're saying, like, yeah, people are somewhat skeptical when it comes to parkour competitions, and naturally, like, we hadn't done any, so we didn't know what to expect.
So we turned up to this test shoot. It was good fun, some great people there. I'm going to play the clip now to show you a couple of highlights from that initial event to show you how we got into it.
I like to tag. I need a bag.
Yeah, so
this was cool because we saw they had cameras, and we as we say, we didn't really know them. We didn't really know what they were capable of. So it was cool to come back and see this edit, which they'd really thought about and they put effort into it. It was a good edit.
Yeah, so towards the end of the clip, you see a shot of myself and Kieran, and this is kind of where it all birthed off from. So it went from just running and trying to tag each other, like
having fun,
like just having fun. We started to notice some light tactics coming out of this, which we'll talk about later on in the video. But that really sparked the interest for all of us. We saw that we were quite good at this skill, and we had a little bit of an edge at that test shoot, and that's what reaffirmed it and gave us confidence.
Yeah, we're team talking.
We're on the team. Right, so we punch them all in the face.
Punch them right in them.
Always pin him into that corner. I think it's that, but I'm not sure.
Nah, that's so open.
Yeah, you can bounce it. After the initial World Chase Tag, the test shoot, we were told that we were going to be up against Stora. Now, bear in mind for us, like, we had like maybe 2K subscribers on Instagram at this point, and Stora were well into
Subscribers on Instagram. Why are you great?
Sorry, mate.
Followers. But yeah, Stora. We just see the name Stora, and we know them as people, and we're friends with them. But they are
phenomenal athletes, so skilled, each individual one of them. So the idea about going up against these skilled athletes and trying to tag them,
yeah,
that was crazy. So we were very nervous going into it, but we turned up to the event, and lo and behold, we smashed it.
Yeah,
and so we'll start to show you some clips now of some of the highlights from the Stora Chase-Off, which was the first official World Chase Tag. So, as you can see in the video, there's a chase where I go up against Toby, and like Toby again, phenomenal athlete, and Callum as well, phenomenal athletes.
Yeah. Toby particularly because he's so quick, like you know him to be a quick athlete.
But there was something which gave us the edge over them. And we had like even Joe Hendo, like the quickest guy in parkour was there.
Known for that, like that is what he's known for, is being super speedy. So you just assume that because he's the fastest parkour athlete, he's going to be the best World Chase Tag athlete. But not necessarily.
That wasn't the case.
Not to throw shade on these athletes.
No,
but
it was still phenomenal.
It was the fact that not necessarily just having great parkour abilities makes you a good World Chase Tag.
That's it. It also comes into lots of tactics. and lots of training in this World Chase Tag specific
That's
event.
it. So let's talk about sort of the technical aspects of why we win.
Yeah. So number one, a big thing within the chase tag, well, recognized thing within the chase tag community now is juking. And this is the ability to feint and to try and make your opponent believe that you're going one way when you're actually going to go the other way.
Yeah.
And that's something which we have developed strongly, and we've developed core fundamentals within that to help us get better. But fundamentally, juking is a great way.
Yeah. So
succeed.
with juking, it's kind of like, yeah, you can sort of make them think you're going one way and the other, but it's actually sometimes that period of buying that time.
Yeah.
So it's that thing is 1 second, 2 seconds. Bear in mind they're 20-second games. These are short games. So every second count. So a second fundamental is knowing how and when to use your speed. So this comes into, again, time wasting, which is a big part of winning, and when to accelerate to try catch someone, when to hold back to let them gain some ground, which will then help you catch them later on. That was the second thing that we started to notice based off how other teams were lacking and what we could do to then beat them. Because, as we say, some of the fastest athletes, there are definitely athletes that were faster than... I mean, Greg is a particularly fast athlete, but there are
Joe Henry
athletes...
is definitely way quicker than me.
Yeah, and there's athletes on different teams that are quicker, but we would still win these points, and it was knowing about when you use that speed and how to use that speed.
The third fundamental is the court awareness, and this plays into how well you know the obstacles and how well you can maneuver through the obstacles. So again, it's all about chasing somebody down. So if you can get from A to B parkour within the obstacles, you need to know them well enough to know how to get through them quick enough, or quicker than your opponent, to chase them down.
It's like playing Call of Duty or playing, video game. If you know the map, you know where the points are.
This brings us on to the second World Chase Tag. So after developing these tactics, we moved on to the London Chase Off. And this was a much bigger event. We had teams coming over from Europe. So we had Blacklist involved in this. We were the French team who just won the European Championships. We had Eugen appearing for the first time, which sparked a great rivalry. We'll go into that one later as well. And what we saw is that there were all different types of athletes now training and involving themselves, and people that actually started practicing. So the level of competition went up. And again, we were nervous. We were so scared at this point because now it wasn't just Stora who had never done it before. We're now going up against athletes who had practiced World Chase Tag quite a lot.
And like, this is the point. So I believe it was after the first one where it all went viral. So bear in mind, the first event, the Stora one, it was like no one knew about this. It was very small. And then the clips went insanely viral. They were on television and stuff like this. And we're like, oh my God, there's a lot to it now.
Bigger teams, bigger, harder competition. So what we did at that point is we started to draft players. And these aren't just like willy-nilly players. These are draft pick.
We wanted to really draft the core strongest team. People were taking it serious.
And people that wanted to take it seriously as well.
Exactly.
We ended up winning the second World Chase Tag. So that's 2 in a row at this point.
Yeah. And that felt big. Yeah. Because it was like the first one was cool. But
maybe a little bit fluky.
Yeah, it's a little bit fluky, but it was like the second one, it was just, the atmosphere. It's a new area. What's the place?
So this was your call in London, where it is now. And bear in mind, so we'll show you a clip now where...
live streamed on Unilad and all that. So it was like, this felt major, and it was like winning that.
Biggest thing we've ever done.
Winning that when going onto the court and everyone's cheering, and it was like cameras.
Yeah, holding the trophy up at the end.
It was crazy.
But what this then led to was a little rivalry with Eugen. Now, our relationship with Eugen's been interesting because they're a great team. They're phenomenal athletes, and we're not going to downplay them at all. So what then this led to was trying to analyze
what's the difference. Like, why did we
beat them, right? Yeah. And we've broken that down to a couple of different things. Breakdown part 2. So essentially the biggest thing which I and we believe that's wrong is their attitude, and that's their ego when it comes to it, which works in some cases. I'll show you a clip of Haroon here just flipping off one of the athletes.
But it is what it is. We consider it a mentality thing, and it's like, I get it, it's funny and stuff, but I think it actually negatively impacts them as a team.
Of course.
And like, people can do things however they want to. Like, there are cocky athletes out there in different sports and they do well. So maybe this isn't it, but this is what we think it is.
It's what we've noticed anyways. So there's a lot of things about them kind of trying to intimidate any opponents. And that works if you get into the opponent's head. But that also means that they then focus a bit too much on how they are looking and how they're appearing to the opposition.
And their head's out of the game. It's like their focus might be in the wrong place.
There's also the other aspect to the whole rivalry thing is that on 2 occasions now, like, there have been not dodgy calls, but there've been very close calls.
In sport, you're going to get that. Like in any sport, a ref's going to call it in a way, and this is our thinking is the way you deal with that.
Yeah. So bear in mind at the London Chase-Off, I had a match with Biku, right? And it was a clear evasion. There's camera angles to show it's a clear evasion, but because of how the referee system worked, they called it as a tag. We didn't get the point for it.
Loading bench, over the bench, round by the front line, 5 seconds left. This could be good for Greg. Back over the bench, round by the loading bay, up the mountain. Oh, that was a tag, that was so close. That was a tag, that was so close.
Which means that we were then a point down going forward in the game.
And
right?
it's like, how do you respond to that? How do you choose to respond to that?
We responded by saying, right, that's the ref's call. That was the call. That's it. Move on.
Yeah.
In other circumstances and situations, there's been calls against Eugen, for example, which they would then argue down to the T. And again, this might then throw them off their game.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we beat Eugen. And again, what an amazing feeling. So by now, we're talking 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all of these opportunities started springing up out of this. We were interviewed by BBC. So we went on their show at BBC Breakfast, which was insane.
Yeah.
School playground game, of course, but did you ever wish you could take it up properly as an actual extreme sport? That's what athletes from all over the world are doing in London tomorrow. I joined some of them in training.
I think of it in terms of like hunting, so it's, you've got to get them.
BBC, like, you know,
Like
the biggest, the biggest broadcasting network in England had us on talking about this sport that
insane.
is just sprung up from the internet. You know, it's crazy.
And on top of that, we were invited out to Japan this year. And what an experience.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely mind-blowing to be able to just turn up and play tag and someone tells you, right, you're going to Japan.
Yeah.
世界大会2連覇を果たしたイギリス代表マレーロギャングそのチームのエースフェイントの魔術師
Flown out, all expenses paid, put up in a hotel. We just fucking, you know, we were going there. We almost felt like ballers, and this kind of brings us on to our next point. Is so in Japan, Japan kind of shook us up a little bit.
So, firstly, to let everyone know, the rule set was different in Japan. So here in the UK, what you do is you've got 20-second rounds, and it's all based on evasions. If you get more evasions than the other team, you win. Now,
To give a bit of background, a Japanese television network like BBC picked it up and they wanted to make a kind of television version of it. So they adapted the rules.
Yeah.
It wasn't World Chase Tag officially, but they adapted the rules and changed it. So we went out there.
Because it was going to be on their New Year's show, they had to make it more rapid and more to the point.
Yeah.
So the rule set that they were playing by was it's the quickest person to make a tag. So Kieran would go against me. He'd try and tag me. If he tags me in 10 seconds, I then go against him and I have to tag him in a quicker
Under 10
time.
seconds, yeah.
And the winner of that gets the point. So it's no longer about evasions, it's about
Speed. And it was totally different. But we went out there, you know, as I say, feeling like the Dons. Like we're going up against a parody celebrity team and a parkour team of athletes that are good and we do know them, but it was just, they'd never done World Chase Tag before. So we went out there just thinking we're going to destroy this thing. It's going to be a big like piss up. We're going to have a fun time.
And this is where we ran into, they trained hard and they trained tactically.
They had 2 weeks with a course there and they were training on that course.
And we got smashed.
They
smashed. Wiped the floor with us. And it shook us to the core. Like,
Yeah.
even though like the rule set was different, that doesn't really play into this. Like they were so good, right?
Yeah.
And as I say, so that shook us. So we came back from that fairly,
like our confidence was not.
Yeah,
especially we're about to go into the, you know, the third
the big one, right? World Chase Tag 3. So like we were shook, but we were humbled by it. And
I think
for
that's
us,
important again with this sort of mentality thing we're talking about. Is we were humbled by it and we learned that okay, there are still athletes that can be better than you.
There are still ways we can improve.
Yeah.
So we had to. So we took our faults in Japan and we worked on them. And we worked on the things that we were bad at. And we changed our game again.
Yeah.
And once again, we evolved our network again. We then added David Nelms and Eric Moore to the team.
Yeah.
So we drafted them into the kind of all-star team, if you would. So that brings us to 3 of 3. Because once again, we saw a step up in competition. Everyone was training a lot harder. We honestly went into this thinking that we weren't going to win. And we're seeing all these videos crop up, like proper nice videos of all these other like put together teams.
And all their names, and we're like, shit, he's there.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there are some insanely high level athletes that took part and we were like, Jesus, like this is probably it. We're probably not going to get it.
So we go into the competition. We had a couple of games. We started winning. We're up against Eugen again in the finals, hence the rivalry and the mentality difference.
At this point, so our wins that brought us to that last game, that had got us. We've realised, actually, we are the best at this. We know what we're doing. We were in the right headspace to take on Eugen.
That's it. And we were confident going into that final match with Eugen. And there's, again, they'll claim it's not a technicality, but Haroon slipped on his last potential to save us. Rest in peace, Haroon. And we won. We won the third. We're now 3-for-3 champions, right? Like, so that was 3. We were 3-for-3. Like, how much better could you get?
You can't, yeah. That is being the best in the game. You know, that is it. And it was like, yeah, we're at the pinnacle of what we could do in this
At this point, you kind of know that it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
If you've won 3 times in a row, like, yes, we drafted in different athletes, but like Arsenal's going to draft in different athletes. Any team's going to draft in athletes to make their team a better team, right? So after this, the opportunity to go to Japan came around for a second time. And this time, the UK was going to win, baby. And we went out to Japan, and this was an even shorter time frame, right? So bear in mind, like, the first time we were there for 5 days, this time we were there for 4 days.
But then we won it, and it was like, it's funny though, because I think the first time we went there, we had a bad mentality there, because I remember we were complaining about like jet lag, and I was going to be in the team, I got injured, and I remember we just kind of started making excuses.
It was bad.
And I think that attitude probably inevitably left.
So whereas this one,
losing.
again, Connor took a management role going out there this year, and my word, did it work. And that allowed us the chance to practice and be in the right headspace for the Japanese team, and we won.
And be prepared.
And now, not only are we the 3-for-3 champions, we now beat the Japanese team. I mean, can you deny that we're the best?
No. At this point, it's obvious.
Yeah, so now we're in this very weird little position, right? So we've just had the European qualifiers. It was the European Championships.
Yeah, people wanted to know why we weren't there. It's because we'd already qualified, so we weren't.
That's it.
It wasn't necessary for us to qualify.
This competition was an opportunity for the winners to then go against us in the finals, which is going to be on the 26th of August in London again, and that will be us, the world champions. Blacklist, congratulations for getting through, by the way. We're looking forward to beating you in the finals. And a couple of other international teams around the world.
Yeah. So this is the World Championship, and they want to take the World Championship title.
Now, bear in mind that we're now 3-for-3s. So we had a little chat, and there was a lot of here and there about whether or not we actually wanted to compete again. Because, and it's not to say that like we didn't think that anyone would have another chance of beating us, but in terms of the sport's growth, if you consistently have the same person winning every time, it's not going to be interesting. There's not going to be any leeway for another team to come through. So we were having these conversations about if we wanted to go through and if we wanted to compete again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we decided from many perspectives, but the competition's upped, and we saw how good they were at the qualifiers, and we've seen just how many people go in, and it's going to be harder, and it isn't going to be a walk in the park for us. So that isn't the thinking going into this. Yeah, we're favourites to win. Yeah, we probably will win, but it isn't going to be a walk in the park. And at the end of the day, we want to challenge ourselves. So we want to, keep getting better at this thing. From a brand perspective as well, it helps us grow, it helps us get our name out, and we can help push World Chase Tag. So it's a win-win for everyone. So we've decided against quitting.
Expect us to come with pure force and pure fire. It's going to be in London, your call again. It's definitely going to be worth coming down to watch it. I'm not too sure if it's going to be live streamed or not, but it's going to be intense. But yeah, let us know if you do have any questions about the sport, about the competitions. Who do you think is going to win the next one? Marrero Gang. Your favourite athletes, anything like that.
Just drop a comment below, subscribe, hit the bell. We're obviously going to be putting out more World Chase Tag content. We haven't done a lot on this channel actually about World Chase Tag, so expect more of that. And we'll be always doing our normal content, comedy, lifestyle, parkour, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and yeah, peace out.
Peace out. Don't get caught.
Cool.